Climate Change Conference in Copenhagen in December. Tourism is among the major economic and social phenomena of our times, and rightly occupies an important place on the United Nations agenda. I wish you every success in your deliberations. Signed, Ban Ki-moon.
And man-made disasters and crises, the last of which we have just been witnessing in the last few days in Southeast Asia, where many of our member states had to suffer yet again from floods, earthquakes, and tsunamis. And before that, the entire world had to deal with one of the most challenging issues of the H1N1 flu that is now still a preoccupation to many of us. This is, in addition to the very hard economic situation that has hit all over the world, is impeding and interfering and coexisting with the long-term challenges that we have been struggling with for a few decades of poverty alleviation, food crisis, and climate change, and all calamities that are associated with it. 2 days ago, the UNWTO issued its latest forecast based on the data that was accumulated up until July 2009, the beginning of August. It is important to note that the inclusion of the month of August may alter some of these results, and they will indeed alter them slightly, and I underscore slightly, for the better. The IMF also, in last 2 days, issued a revision to its forecast, slightly improving its economic global forecast. This indeed has reflected itself on the tourism industry, and based on international tourism arrivals and only on the indicator of arrivals, not more, we have been able to gain 1 to 1.5 points, but still in the negative. In May of 2009, global international arrivals stood at -8%, -8% if compared to the year 2008. We have gained a point, a little more than a point. We are at -7% at the end of July. This is not any news to cheer about, but it is definitely significant enough for us to sense some kind of a flattening to the crisis that we are in. We are not predicting any major improvements on the overall impact of the economy on world tourism until the end of 2009, but we are forecasting, our panels of experts have forecasted a slight improvement in the negative trend. We expect to close the year 2009 at a -6 to -4, an average of -5%, which is another 2 points gain between now and the end of the year. Is this a turning point or not? One would want to stress that much uncertainties still remain, and that although the summer in the northern part of this hemisphere has seen some more vibrant activities in many of the countries that were hard hit, it is still too soon because our industry is so dependent on the overall economic situation. Based on the panel of experts of confidence index that the UNWTO conducts on a regular basis, over 250 experts gathered all over the world, we see some slight improvements. In May of 2009, the same panel of experts indicated that 62% of the opinions were on the negative side. They all indicated either that things will get worse or much worse. Now, in July, 31% of the opinions were rather neutral, 26 saw it as optimistic and things improving, and still 43% are on the pessimistic side. These are important indicators to keep in mind, but they do indicate what might be seen as the beginning of some kind of a recovery that may take place and shape by the beginning of 2010. On a regional basis, some regions were affected more than the others. Europe, the major tourism destination of the world, occupying more than 50% of world incoming and outgoing tourists, was the hardest hit in terms of rates of growth of the international tourism arrivals. And I keep reminding that we are only talking about tourism arrivals. We have not yet tabulated two other very, very important indicators, which are the tourism receipts and the earnings that are still coming in. And we did not yet come to grips with the significant changes that have taken place on the domestic front. Domestic tourism has seen an increase as a result of limited cross-border travel, the figures of which are not yet complete at our end, but we are estimating 2 to 3 points increase and improvement in domestic tourism, and this is particularly pertaining in countries that are large in size and provide enough variety for people to be able to compensate for traveling across borders. Europe still maintained a lower than global average growth. At the end of July, the European destinations registered a -8%, -8% as compared to the global average of 7% negative. However, this must be seen against the background of -11% in May, which is a considerable improvement of 3 points upward due to the good activities and the energy that emanated from the months of July and hopefully August. Asia Pacific maintained a slightly better average than the global average at a -6%. Some countries even were able to flatten the negative growth, and some even maintained some slight positive growth. Particular mention here would be the Republic of Korea and Malaysia. The Americas were more or less at the global average, at a -7%, of course, affected slightly more than others with the factor of the H1N1 flu, but definitely seeing better signs of recovery, particularly in Central America and the Caribbean. The Middle East is producing mixed results, which we have concluded that we cannot very conclusively build on. And it is due to the mixed signals that we are getting from the two most significant countries in the Middle East, namely Saudi Arabia and Egypt,